Welcome back to our Thursday Masterclass. Now, Dumi, it seems as if we've done exceptionally well when it comes to our beef dishes and meats.
Yes, Palesa, and now we're saying let's also celebrate the economical, simple mincemeat.
Well, beef and veggies go so well together, and we can think of just so many ways that these two pair perfectly, which is why we've decided to try a not-so-common pairing of meatballs wrapped in cabbage leaves, which is known to be a traditional dish in Central Europe. Now, Dumi, you've taken us to Russia, now you're taking us to Central Europe. It seems as if in this Afternoon Express Masterclass we need a passport.
Definitely, Palesa, that's what we're saying to you. You can travel the world just with your senses, and this is what we're bringing to you. This is a typical dish that what we were speaking about earlier, about oma and what's a converse?
Yes.
That thing, you know, but we're going to be making it a bit differently with the flavors we have here. We're going to start off by sauteing. In fact, let me do that as I speak so we know exactly what we're talking about. We're starting off with our Excella oil, Palesa. That's going to be the base for our dish here, Palesa. All we want to do is we want to fry up our onions and make sure they get to that soft consistency. And the reason why we've chosen Excella oil, all the time I say it's superior quality, Palesa. It cooks to a high smoking point, which is perfect, but also it's a great carrier of flavor. And the other thing about it, clear, no flavor, it's odorless, no additional flavor in it. All it does is just celebrates the flavor whatever you're cooking there. So I'm going to start by sauteing my onions, Bali. And to get us started as well, you can actually get started on your side.
Yes. So I've got the vegetable station, and this vegetable station I'm kind of excited about because I do love mincemeat and I do love cabbage, but this is a fresh way of enjoying it. I'm going to take my raw cabbage leaves, just like this. In fact, let me use my tongue. And you've got some extremely hot boiling water on the pan, making sure that it's quite a high heat.
Correct, Palesa. So in essence, we would call this somewhat of a blanching technique. The only difference here is we're not going to need to use the ice water because we're going to cook it a lot shorter than you normally would. So what we would ideally do is blanch the leaves in some hot water, boiling water, take them out, put them into a bowl of iced water. We don't need to do that now because we're going to cook it for less. In essence, you want to cook it for about a minute. We're going to go for 30 seconds just so it's pliable and the cabbage leaves can actually fold. And then once we've got to that point, then we can start working with them. In the meantime, Pali, our dish is not complete without just the mince. We're going to be using our Excella rice in our meatballs as well. And that's what you've got over. Yes, girl, Kalela. So our Excella rice, what I love about it is that it cooks fluffy and white, Palesa. It's perfect for this recipe because it absorbs all the flavors that we're going to add to it. And the other thing about it, you know, 1 cup of that gives you 2.
Yep.
So you're getting double time for whatever ingredients you're putting in there. So I'm going to just stir up all these ingredients and start adding the flavorants for our dish, which is some coriander spice, ground coriander, some nutmeg, and then I'm going to add a bit of margarine, which works perfectly for this dish as well.
And on that note, I've probably got about 20 seconds left on the very last piece of cabbage, which means let me take the very first piece of cabbage out. And just like that, look at that beautiful green color coming out of there, and that is exactly what we're looking for. The reason why we kept it in for a very, very short amount of cooking time, as Dumi has mentioned, we don't want our cabbage leaves to overcook.
Correct.
We just want them to be pliable enough, bendable enough, flexible enough to be able to wrap our meatballs in. And just like that, Dumi, it is easy to go. But if you have like gotten carried away with the kids and you're doing homeworks and you're running around, worry not, because then you can do that blanching technique that Dumi spoke about. And all that is that after it's gotten into this extremely, extremely hot water, you just double up on the very, very cold ice water. It'll stop the cooking process and make sure that you do not get soggy cabbage. It's a no-no in this recipe.
Definitely.
But and whilst I'm doing that, Dumi, please may you just show us how we got our beautiful minced meatballs to look like this.
All right, Palesa. So now that our rice is cooked, in essence, what you want with this rice is you want to cook it down. You don't want it to be fully cooked because it's still going to go into the oven to cook. But once it's cooked and the liquid is absorbed, you want to make sure that you cool it down. And the beautiful thing about Excella rice, Palesa, is when you cook it, it keeps its shape, keeps its, you know, flavor in there. So it's perfect. All we're going to do now is we're going to mix our mincemeat with this rice that we've just cooked and cooled down, and then we're going to start forming these balls, which you are now going to be wrapping with some cabbage leaves and securing with a beautiful toothpick there to make sure it holds its shape.
Stunning. You know, they do say that you eat with your eyes. A little throwback to the challenge that you and Mapelele just had. Yes, indeed. Excella rice is nutritious, cooks fluffy white every time. And as you have said, you know, it just doubles in flavor. But even though we're going to be wrapping it in this delicious cabbage, you might not be able to see that rice, but worry not. It is delicious, it is white, it is fluffy, and that's what you're looking for at the end of the day.
Correct, Balisa. So you can now secure those beautiful meatballs with a toothpick, and then we're going to now bake this dish of ours. It's beautiful. It's a simple, easy dish because once you've made these steps, you put it in the oven and you cook it in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes just to make sure that all those flavors mellow together. So I'm going to start the process for you and just add a little bit of our stock in the pot. Because we're doing a beef and veg, I decided let's just go with the beef stock for this dish as well.
Stunning.
So I'm going to put the liquid in there. Once you've secured your babies, put them in our pot, and then I'm going to put these into the oven to bake for that 40 minutes that we were talking about.
Voila, this is easy peasy lemon squeezy. And what I'm so even more excited about when it comes to this recipe is that it doesn't look filling when you look at it, but because it packs that flavor punch of the Excella rice, the carbs that you need to keep you fuller for longer, I'm here for it. But also, it's not overwhelming to eat. It's just beautiful bite-sized pieces, and that's what we're looking for.
Definitely, Balisa. Perfect as a starter, main, or, well, starter and main.
All the above. Now, we've just taken your taste buds on a culinary adventure. All you need to do is hop over to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full recipe list and ingredients.